Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. I have no idea when you're watching this video, but right now it is New Year's Eve. It's almost 6, and so before I go off to celebrate and then chill out for the evening, I just wanted to jump in here and talk about ketones for a minute, having to do with the ketogenic diet, because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions surrounding ketones. So ketones, first of all, what are they? Well, when your body goes from burning glucose, sugar, carbs, and it switches over to fat, it starts producing ketones. So within our body, the first fuel source it goes to, well, alcohol. If you drink alcohol, it's going to go to that first. That's a totally another story, but just remember that. Just remember that. Even if it's keto or low carb, your body's going to go and burn that before it burns fat or anything else. Little side note. But aside from that, just on a normal everyday basis, your body right now, if you're used to like a more high carb standard American diet, your body knows glucose. It knows sugar. It knows carbs. That's what it's burning for fuel. When you run out of it, that's when you get hangry and your body's like, what do I do now? And so you like stoke the fire and you add more little logs onto the fire. I say that because I think of fat as like the big logs. So when your body runs out of glucose though, and then you're continually not adding all this glucose back in, then our very, very intelligent bodies switch over and start using fat for fuel and start actually producing ketones, and then using that for fuel as well. So trying to keep this simple, just understand that it takes a little bit of time to switch over. And then once you do, then your body will be producing ketones. So in the whole keto world, you will hear how high your ketones are basically, and they are measured by millimoles. There are 3 different ways to measure: breath, urine, or blood. On another video, I will talk about the ins and outs of those. I'm not a fan of urine. I'm not. It's very unpredictable. I've never done breath. I've heard it can be accurate, but it's really basically using the byproduct of what you actually produce acetone as a byproduct, and it's measuring that. So it's kind of like, well, if you're pretty high in this, then you're pretty high in this. So it's not measuring exactly ketones, but it's kind of like using this relative sort of idea with ketones and acetone. So I've never done it. I know that they are a spendier gadget, but some people really like them. Won't go into that right now. I prefer the blood ketones. Blood ketone meters. I use Keto Mojo. I love it, love it, love it. However, let me tell you guys this, please do not get married to numbers. Please. I see this happen all the time where people are measuring their ketones and they're like, yes, I'm at a whatever number. It's super high. And I'm like, just so proud of myself. And it kind of doesn't mean, well, it just doesn't mean what you think. I'm not going to say it doesn't mean anything, but it does mean that your body's producing ketones. But you know what? Sometimes when you're higher, it can actually be because you're producing them and the ketones are in your blood, but you're maybe not utilizing them very well. Sometimes it can mean that. And especially like early on when you're testing, especially if you're testing in your urine, like the ketones are just kind of spilling out of your urine, and so you might think you're really high, and you're not. And then later on you might test and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not even in ketosis, or I'm really, really low, and you get all sad. And it's really that your body has started utilizing them better. So it's kind of a very precarious thing. I think it's kind of fun. I think it's kind of like cool to nerd out on it and be like, oh my gosh, look at my ketones, but the danger is when people are just so stuck on these numbers that they're not actually paying attention to their results, or even more importantly, how their body feels. That's the most important thing. If you are if your goal is to lose weight, which a lot of people's are, then and if it's working, then who cares what your ketones are at, right? Like, really, who cares? And if it's not working, then who cares? It's really not the number that matters. Sure, it can help you kind of streamline and have a goal and kind of like keep you like accountable in a way that's awesome. But if it's more than that, like I really urge you to not go there, not obsess over it. I really do. I will every once in a while. I mean, this is like year 3 of keto for me, although, I take breaks and go a little like, like not super high carb, but not even necessarily paleo because I do use dairy, but I still keep it like gluten-free, lower carb, all the things when I kind of go off keto and then come back on. I think it's been wonderful doing that. But I will test a little bit just to kind of see where I'm at, just for fun, right? But I've never been married to those numbers. And with that being said, I've mentioned before the whole concept of ketoacidosis, and that's something that is dangerous, and people get, especially people who don't know that much about the ketogenic diet, they kind of freak out and like, oh my gosh, you're going to go into ketoacidosis or whatever. Well, that is really something to where your body itself, like the inner workings, and it has to do with insulin, and where you actually just need to be on insulin, and then if you're not taking it, then you can get to this dangerous level with ketones, and it's not something that you can actually reach nutritionally. You can't. Like typically people are measuring from 0.5 to like maybe around 3-ish when you're in nutritional ketosis. To actually reach ketoacidosis, it's like 15 or some astronomical number that you cannot, I don't care who you are. No, like I have not, even in all the coaching I've done with keto, I don't think I've seen anyone reach over like a 3. I really haven't. And that's even with like fasting. And so there are ways other than just low carb that you can reach ketosis. It's fasting and exercise will help you get there. And so even the people who are like fasting and working out really hard and, really having low carbs, you have to be pretty tight with your whole protocol to get even up to 3 or so. And again, who cares really, but my whole point in saying that is that 15 is like not even possible nutritionally. So it's two different things. It's like comparing apples and oranges. It's not even like, yeah, Google it if you're curious, ketoacidosis. So with that being said, I just want to encourage you. I'm not really a big fan of like being hardcore with numbers, period, because I see a lot of people get really, really stuck and then send their bodies backwards. So even if you're like telling yourself, I have to be under like 20 grams of carbs, like that's a big black and white keto rule, right? Well, I don't adhere to that rule. I don't like that. I don't believe in it. Because what I see is women in particular, I primarily work with women, being so stuck on that number. And then if they see that their body is not responding very well or their ketones aren't going high enough, then they will reduce that number even more. Maybe calories are a part of that as well and reduce them too low. And you're going to stress your body out. You guys have probably heard me say this, and I cannot say it enough. You'll stress your body out. So then you will cause your cortisol to go up, which actually will spike your blood sugar. So then your ketones are definitely going to reflect that, and they're not going to be very high. But you're also not going to be reaching your goals, and you might feel like crap, and you might gain weight, and you're just going to be on this endless merry-go-round that's just not working. So please do not try to keto harder if you're already like being like really on it and your body is not responding very well. If your body's not responding very well, there are reasons for that. There are reasons, and it is not because you're not trying hard enough. So that is where I come in as a coach. Like definitely that's what I'm here for. And there are things like your gut health, like leaky gut is something, your hormones being off balance, your thyroid needing to get checked, and actually the legit real numbers getting checked and not just your TSH or your TSH and your free T4. That doesn't tell us anything. That's what you go and normally get from the doctor, and you usually have to pull teeth in order to get them to do the right numbers. So if you're wondering like what else could possibly be going on, why is my body not responding, reach out. Ask me and I will help you out as much as I can. I do individual coaching all the time. So that's something we could set up. You could jump on the phone with me and do a free consultation. Or right now, again, depending on when you're watching this, January 6th, which is in about 6 days, is the start of my new Keto for Women virtual program. It's a 4-week program, but you get 8 weeks basically of materials that you can will go through together, but then you'll have it to keep. You can print things off. It's all this whole online school that you get to log into, and then we have a private Facebook group just for those who are going through the program with me. I'm really excited about it. I love doing this. I love the community that is built with women. It's just for women, and it's not this again black and white thing with keto. We really dive into hormones and stress and sleep and micronutrients and like any kind of deficiencies or toxicity that might be holding you back. And don't let that like overwhelm you. Don't let it overwhelm you. Just be aware that there are reasons your body is doing certain things, and don't beat yourself up. And I know it can be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. But that's, again, why people like me come in and can walk you through that. And it can be game changing. It can be life changing. It really can. So if you're interested in joining, then go to the link I have posted here, and you can always connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, send me an email at jess@healthwithjess.com, and we can chat and I can see where I can help you. All right, you guys. Again, if you're seeing this before New Year's, Happy New Year. And I hope you guys all have a safe and awesome evening.